Start. Hi, everyone. This is yet another episode of the FOMO. I have with me none other than Aditi Seni once again in the studio, in our virtual studio. And we're going to talk about an interesting sort of topical thing. Uh, IPL. Everyone's like glued to IPL these days. And one of the interesting sort of things that's always fascinated me uh, about IPL more than the cricket has been the brand or the IP of RCB, you know. And as a marketer, I've always wondered, how did they go about creating this IP? What was the thought behind it? Because to me, it is one of the most brilliant IPs where you've taken a Elko Bev brand, right, which you cannot advertise in this country directly on mass media, right? So you take that brand and you somehow convince uh, the BCCI, the IPL team, and the government uh, to kind of allow you to create this. Uh, I don't want to use the word surrogate, but an extension, right? And it to me, it's brilliant. What's your take on it?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think this is where I have to give it to Vijay Mallya. When I think he bought a cricket team, but he literally changed it into a lifestyle brand. And like you said, I think he was initially looking at a synergistic play because Alcobev companies are not allowed to promote, so they have to find surrogate ways to promote. Um, but what he did is he took that like he took RCB, like the way the logo is, the way the dressing is of the players, everything is obviously an extension of Royal Challenge to now Royal Challengers. And somehow he got his way out with BCCI also, which initially at least no other cricketing team was able to do, or any other company who bought, let's say, Mumbai Indians or Chennai Super Kings, nobody was able to get their way with BCCI the way Vijay Mallya was able to create a Royal Challengers as a brand, which is kind of an extension of Royal Challenge uh, whiskey. So yeah, I agree with you on that one.
Yeah. And by the way, the Chennai Super Kings is partly, I mean, they always had that crown and the whole brand of Coromandel Kings and so on and so forth. But you're right. I mean, it's only later when they've been able to kind of use the Super Kings brand to extend into, other cement categories. So
Yeah,
in
but
a
it
way,
was not
art,
as blatant, it was not as
yeah,
clear,
yeah,
right? It was not a
yeah,
very clear extension. So it was like
yeah,
the as close you can get to Royal Challenge to Royal Challengers, like nobody else. Coromandel King, again, Chennai Super Kings, it's still like, a little far-fetched, not as
yeah.
close an extension. RCB is like the perfect integration point.
Yes. But you know what? The flip side of this is that if maybe the other teams kind of thought this through and said, what
Mhm.
happens if the team is a dud? What happens when the team doesn't win, right? And like even Super Kings, after they've now become like what they have become, they have now started extending because no matter what happens, right? Super Kings is a very successful IPL brand. RCB hasn't done well, right? They haven't won an IPL. They are doing badly even in this season. Most of the fans have accepted that they won't do well and still be their fans. So I think one of the most uh, brilliant things to kind of avoid this Royal Challenger challenges Bangalore fate with the brand's fate, because if RCB loses, does RC become a loser's brand? And to me, the way they've overcome that kind of predicament is by uh, starting to poke fun at themselves, by saying that, okay, by acknowledging that they're not winning and bringing a character like Mr. Nags on board, uh, they are essentially poking fun at themselves. And to me, maybe why the other franchises didn't do it because they didn't have the kind of vision, right? So I'll just back at you, but I think to me it didn't the starting point was brilliant, but that was the job half done. The way they've
Like,
overcome their brand's defeats and still RCB extending a positive sort of uh, effect on Royal Challenger brand in terms of recall, right? Every time their brand, even if RCB loses, people say Royal Challenger, Royal Challenger, Royal Challenger. So the kind of recall the brand is getting because they've started poking fun at themselves is amazing.
yeah, no, I agree. And but I think RCB or like overall Diageo when they took over also from Malia United Spirits, I think what they tried to do is they preserved the lifestyle brand image. They continued with that. In fact, what they're trying to do now is in fact make extensions out of it, right? Which means that they are very progressive in terms of their thinking. So not just when it comes to making progressive investments, which we'll come to, but also progressive marketing, right? If you look at how they partner with content creators, the creators are allowed to travel. They have this whole concept of the 12th man, there's Mr. Nags. But and in general, when people are allowed to watch the practice games and you know how closely they can interact with players like Virat Kohli. So that talks about a brand being very transparent. That talks a brand being very democratic, which even like a lot of big brands don't have that kind of a risk appetite where they would allow players or like you know all these things like to become so democratic and so transparent that you know people feel included. And again, the fact that you mentioned in regards to like poking fun at themselves, which only very few part of India can understand, right? A very progressive or a very liberal Indian can understand that concept. I mean, talk about Delhi Daredevils or talk about Punjab Kings, which has, and cricket being a mass play, right? The viewership comes from the masses. But even within the masses, you have people who troll their own loyal teams like Daredevils, I said, or Kings for doing badly. And yet there are people who are, according to me, that progressive Indian who follows and who's loyal to a brand like RCB, who enjoy poking fun at themselves because they feel they're so included, they feel being a part of the brand, right? The whole concept of that brands being open. I think RCB is the one brand which has taken that to a whole different level, at least in IPL. What do
No,
you think?
absolutely. No, absolutely. I think also the fact that their women's team won and the fact
Yes,
that they've hedged away from Virat Kohli only to now an array of stars. If you look at the last, the entire history of IPL, it started with Virat Kohli, Chris Gale, Virat Kohli, AB de Villiers, Virat Kohli, Faf now,
yes,
and now even Smriti Mandana, who's won the women's edition for them. So they have
right.
also hedged away from depending only on one superstar. So in a way, Chennai Super Kings and Mahendra Singh Dhoni are like interlinked. In a way, Rohit Sharma and Mumbai Indians are like interlinked, and they didn't have the kind of succession plan that how or at least from a marketing perspective, a succession plan that what RCB has shown. Even despite Virat Kohli stepping down, he's still right up there because they know he deserves the respect as an India player and of course the kind of champion that he is, which is what Mumbai Indians couldn't do, by the way, right? They couldn't show the succession plan properly to the fans, and what is happening is obviously a tragedy now from their point of view. So I think it's a brilliant sort of it's amazing how RCB as a marketing juggernaut
Yeah.
thinks through their content creation and
Yeah.
their
And I think
succession
one is
planning.
the marketing strategy, like you said, and you know, the whole social aspect of it and the whole content creation and you know, whole like, you know, the intertwining themselves with their fan base so that you know you become like whole together and not stay as brand and consumers separate. But I think beyond that, also the kind of innovative product offerings that they have, which is beyond like just the category of cricket itself, right? Like talk about, you know, cocktail mixes, the dash of RCB, talk about sports bar, talk about, you know, RCB Uncut, which is the whole plant-based meat that they've introduced. All of these talk about progression, talk about progressive investments that you know that diversify its brand presence in multiple segments, but which is not meant for the masses, which is meant for a certain niche, which And by that, they are trying to cater to that new age Indian who understands this and who is again bringing it back to cricket. He is willing to take losses with their chin up instead of, just, like trying to like tell themselves that, just like, again, troll the team or just say that, you're not as good, etc. I mean, this
Yeah.
brand has created an audience which believes in this, that, it's fine. Losses happen. You take it and move on, but I'm still going to stay loyal to you because I
Yeah.
feel that I'm a part of it.
Yeah. No, a brilliant point, actually. And just to kind of conclude, the extension has now firmly established RCB and both the physical world IPs and the physical world extensions that you spoke about and the digital IPs that you spoke about, like, they do this event called Unboxed. They also have this Insider RCB Insider with Mr. Nags and so on and so forth.
Right.
All of those IPs are being sponsored by another brand. So from a revenue, perspective, all of these IP extensions are now brands in themselves, right?
Right.
RCB Insider is a different brand. RCB Podcast is a different brand. The RCB plant-based range is a different brand, and all of them have their own revenue streams, their own sort of, which is how, despite not probably becoming a champion, despite that, I'm sure they are. I haven't seen the exact profit and loss statement, but all of these are revenue sources for them. So by creating these IPs, which I don't think anyone else has done as well, they're also bringing more revenue with each IP. So I think that's probably, I think, anything else that you want to add? Or
actually, you know what? There was one point that just came to my mind. I think most of the cricket brands, I mean, cricket teams that you think of, they think of themselves as like, so there are ways to make revenue, right? Like ticketing revenue, sponsorship revenue, etc. They deprioritize the brand equity and brand value being the one which gives them the revenue. So the marketing side of it is RCB is the only one which has prioritized this and hence is able to create those IPs because they know that, brand equity and brand value is the one which is going to be a bigger and a more sustainable and long-term source of revenue building instead of just like looking at your ticketing sponsorship or like, viewership, etc.
Yeah. And of course, the valuation of the brand, right? Of course, that's obviously, in terms of the valuation, I think most IPL brands have done exceedingly well, despite of losers or wins. All of them, I think, are doing, if they were to be listed on the stock exchange as is, they would like really be, all of them would be like $1 billion plus brands. So I think, fair point. We'll probably end it here, and it'd be good to have others kind of pitch in, share their views, if there's anything which we didn't cover, or they think we made a point which is not really on the point. Would be happy to hear from you guys. Thank you so much, Aditi, for your time this weekend. And
Thank you.
bye, everyone. Till the next episode.
Bye.
Stay glued. Take care. Bye-bye. See you.